But in the capital region of Virginia, Maryland and Washington DC, there's so much history to come and visit. So I'm going to take you on a whirlwind tour, starting here in Annapolis, capital of Maryland, the place they call a museum without walls.
In 1845, on the banks of the Severn River, on what was called back then Fort Severn, the Naval Academy was born. The very basic thing that we do at the Naval Academy is develop men and women to become people of character and consequence to serve the nation. We embody that through a phrase called "Don't give up the ship," which was a phrase uttered by a dying captain during the War of 1812. In addition to being a major military installation, it's also the largest tourist attraction in the state of Maryland. We have a great museum. They'll see the largest dormitory in the world, where all 4,400 plus students live. It's really a very unique experience.
I had no idea that it was possible to come and look at this place. If you're visiting DC anyway, it's less than an hour's drive. So I guess from us, it's goodbye and good night.
Great day.
A lot of famous people over the years have come through this lobby. One in particular was Ulysses Grant. Now, President Lincoln, of course, was one of our most famous guests back in 1861. Another famous guest that would come through here was Mark Twain, and he'd make sure he had the finest tailored suit on. Round Robin Bar is a fantastic bar. You were sitting on one side of the bar and you were attuned to the conversation going on. You could get tomorrow's news today.
The mint julep. Cheers.
Dr. King checked into the hotel and was very, very busy planning the events for the next day. Became one of the most famous speeches of all time.
I'm standing right now in one of the 4 presidential suites. Unfortunately for me, this isn't where I'm staying tonight. We're going on to Virginia for the next step in our history tour.
Jefferson's born right here on this plantation, and he begins building Monticello when he's 26 years old. Thomas Jefferson is so central to the founding ideas of our country. He's the author of the Declaration of Independence. He's the 3rd president of the United States, and he's really somebody who helped shape the ideals of this country that are still important today. We have this really complex figure in Jefferson. He's the man who authored those world-changing words, "All men are created equal," and yet Jefferson owned a plantation. He owned, during the course of his life, 607 people. There is a conflict. He is one of the largest slave owners in Virginia at that time. I always like to say you can't understand the United States without understanding Thomas Jefferson. And the best place to understand Thomas Jefferson is by touring this home that he created.
It's where Thomas Jefferson ended his days right here, and it's where I'm ending my day at Monticello too, as I take my next step on a historical tour of the capital region.
So here at the American Civil War Museum at our Tredegar campus, you'll find about 9 acres that help to explore not only the history of this site, but also help you to explore the American Civil War. In our exhibit, In the Cause of Liberty, you'll see the origins of the Civil War traced through artifacts, traced through narrative. What were people feeling? What were they thinking? The American Civil War pretty much split geographically between the North and the South, and it fractured most dramatically over the question of slavery. The Confederacy lost, so it effectively ended slavery. The Tredegar Iron Works was founded in 1837. It produced over half of the cannon that the Confederacy or the South used during the war. So it's neat to know that you're exploring these stories in a space that actually mattered and was tied directly to the Civil War. There's power in that.
Historic Tredegar is so much more than just a museum, and it's really exceeded my expectations, as has my whole historical tour of the capital region USA. So, thanks for having me, Abe.